Welcome, headbangers. I am Gomthog, and you are listening to the Great Metal Debate podcast. We're back with another metal artist interview for your listening pleasure and to increase your knowledge and fandom. This episode, we are pleased to bring you an interview from another Canadian metal band, this time going all the way out west to British Columbia to talk with Brittney Slay, vocalist for Unleash the Archers. Brittney spoke recently with my podcast partner Brian, and she had much to share about herself, her band, and the music they play. But before we get to that, a reminder that all our podcast interviews and debate can be streamed or downloaded on SoundCloud.com. Plus, we have selected podcast episodes and excerpts available on our YouTube channel. Just search for The Great Metal Debate on either site to get access to all the content. Also, be sure to get updates, additional information, and join in on the debate by liking The Great Metal Debate on Facebook. So here it is, Brian's interview with Unleash the Archers singer, Brittney Slay.
All right, welcome, Great Metal Debate fans. Tonight we have a very special guest with us. We have Miss Brittney Slay of Unleash the Archers fame. Brittney's the vocalist for the incredible Canadian metal band. Brittney, welcome to the Great Metal Debate podcast. Very cool of you to join us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, man, great. Listen, I can very honestly say, Brittney, that I am a huge fan of Unleash the Archers. Canadian metal is a new discovery for me, and you and your band are one of the finer discoveries of that genre.
Well, thank you very much.
I always like to start out with this question. I haven't met too many metalheads who, in one form or another, haven't experienced what I'm going to ask you about. For me, it was the first time I heard Back in Black at 120 decibels. Do you have a moment, Brittney, an avalanche of epiphany, sort of a Grinch that stole the metal heart moment? You figured out that, this was your muse. This was the kind of music you're going to listen to and talk about and make for the rest of your life.
I do, actually. I was driving in a friend of mine's truck, and there was four of us squished in on the bench seat, and it wasn't exactly like a gigantic, F-350 or anything. So, and he put on Iron Maiden, and I was just like, what is this? Oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And he's like, are you kidding? This is Iron Maiden. And it was Best of the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like a little taste of everything, sort of, from early in their career. And I immediately fell in love. I mean, I listened to metal my whole life. I started when I was very young. My brother sort of brought me into the throngs of the metal world with Pantera and White Zombie and Tool and a lot of those sort of 90s metal bands, but this was like completely different, and I didn't even realize that that existed. And I'd always heard of Iron Maiden, and I was 16 at the time, and I always heard of them, but I never actually had ever listened to them. And I was just like, oh my God, the total epiphany moment for sure. And then he gave me the CD. And so he's just like, well, you can have it. And I was like, awesome. And then I got the rest, like pretty much their entire discography, and I sort of just grew from there.
Yeah, that's a great band to have your moment with. I've had other artists say the same thing about Iron Maiden, and I could actually hear some Iron Maiden elements in your music, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Along those lines, Brittney, why don't you give us a brief overview of your journey to becoming the lead singer for Unleash the Archers? Kind of where's your start? And I hate to be cliche, but I think influences are important to the story. So if you could kind of throw some of those into.
Absolutely, no problem. So I went to university in Victoria, which is the capital of the province that I live in British Columbia, and met my boyfriend there, and he was the drummer in a band at the time.
I see.
With some friends that he had met in the city. They didn't actually go to UVic, but And so I went to a bunch of their shows as, number one fan and loved their music and, listened to them jam down in the basement of the house that we all lived in together, every
Right.
night and I loved it and I really loved going to their shows and after a while
Right.
I was kind of like, well, like I love metal. I could totally do this.
Ah.
And I mean, and I always, of course, would be an Iron Maiden fan, so I was a big fan of Brucey, and I knew how
Right.
awesome he is on stage, and how like what a
Right.
wild and talented and entertaining frontman he is, and so
Uh-huh.
I sort of was like, well, let's give something a try. So when Unleash the Archers finally came together, we found a guitar player and a bass player on Live Vic, which is a website for musicians in town, and
I
we
see.
started jamming it out together at the old Esquimalt jam spaces. And it took us a while to really sort of find our sound because we all loved different kinds of metal.
Right.
Um, we had sort of like an older new metal influence in some aspects, and then
Uh-huh.
also like a melodic death influence. And Scott really loved deathcore. I mean, like we were both listening to a lot of As They Lay Dying, um,
Right.
and basically my only real sort of clean vocal influences at the time were like Rob Halford, Danzig, Brucey, of course. A lot of the
Uh-huh.
classic Dio. I'd listened to a lot of Dio, and
Oh yeah.
so they were really my first influences. It wasn't until I started really growing into like the more, I guess you could say, a more traditional, well, a new turn on power vocals from
Right.
like Angra or Lost Horizon. That's when I really started to come into my own and and understand what I wanted to be as a vocalist. And
Great. Yeah.
and I mean, so we sort of Braden has a wicked scream, so of course we wanted to include that. So for a long time there, we were kind of like a melodic death metal band that was mixing in some core elements and just didn't really have like a direction with our sound. We weren't sure what we
Right.
wanted to be, but I think now we've toured so much and we've been together for so long and we've had some member changes, but the spirit of UTA is always the same, and I really think we've sort of found exactly what we're going for now. And I mean, like, there's so many bands out there that I listen to that influence me. Like
Right.
I'm getting into soil work these days, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and there's a whole bunch there. I mean, they're just it's never ending. You're always trying to find
Yeah.
new music. So,
Right.
um, yeah, basically,
Well, there's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's fine.
Well, I was going to say there's certainly a lot to pick from out there.
Oh,
Those influences. You know,
absolutely.
and that answer is great because it leads me right into my next question. I am always amazed how several people can sit down with all these different ideas and a song comes out of it. And I'm sure there are differences, but yet you walk away with a song. Sometimes a great song like Daughters of Winterstone, which is what we let in with. What's the process like for Unleash the Archers? What's your role in the writing? Is there ever contention, that sort of thing?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we all have a say. We all
Hmm.
write our own parts, and we all sort of um, have an influence on where the song goes and where how the song will end up flowing. So of course there's some parts where it's like, oh man, this part is amazing, and someone else is like, no, it doesn't fit, it doesn't flow right, or can
Right.
we just change it, or does it have to be in 3/4? Like it's
Yeah.
there's a lot of points where we are discussing the arrangement of something, a riff or whatever, and
Right.
um, I mean, there's been parts where we've worked on a song for weeks, even months, and just all of us been like, you know what, this is not right, and we've just thrown it out, or we call it putting it in the bag o' riffs, because we just like, okay, well, there's some good stuff in there, but it's just not right, so we'll come back to it.
Right.
So
Very
yeah,
cool.
usually like it'll be Braden or Grant, and now if we've got Andrew instead of Braden, so they'll come to us with like a riff that just like, hey, I was jamming out on this. Like, what do you guys think of this? and then we'll grow from there. Or they'll say like, I've got a whole song written, and we'll say, oh, this is awesome, this part sucks, take this out, let's move this,
Yeah.
let's extend that, or whatever, and sort of we'll all just take it from there.
Kind of have to have thick skin at times, right?
Oh God, yes.
So, do you ever have to just take one for the team and sing it anyway, kind of thing?
Yeah, we all sort of have points where we're just like, really? You don't like that? Like, oh man. And you just sort of, yeah, you go with we like to think of ourselves as a democracy.
There you
So
go.
3 votes wins. Um, I mean, it does, yeah, you really have to have sometimes an ego check, and sometimes
Yeah.
if you let stuff fester, like you don't say, like, oh man, it's really been bugging me these last, like, however long, the way
Right.
you do that part, and you're
Hmm.
just gonna let it, like, stick inside you and grow into this horrible thing where next thing you know, you just really, like, hate this person, you don't even know why, and it's just because you didn't
Right.
communicate or just tell them that one thing that really bugged you. And being in a
Right.
band, I think it's really important that as much as it hurts and as much as seeing the look on the person's face when you're like, you're playing that wrong or whatever, it's you got to do
Yeah.
it.
Now, your new pre-production track, Dream Crusher, it's an amazing piece of music. You guys are close to recording that album. How goes that writing and recording process for the new album?
Um, Thank you. We're really proud of that song. It sort of ended up being longer than we had originally meant, but when it comes to writing, you just don't question stuff sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But we're pretty much almost done. We're getting vocals done this month. I was
Uh,
supposed to go in last month, but I got really sick. Like I got a super bad cold right when I was
yeah.
supposed to go in there. So we're like, okay, we'll hold off, and because we want to get it right, and performing when you're sick is bad enough live, let alone, you know,
Yeah.
not going to go in the studio then. So we're going to get
You
that
don't want
done
to.
this April for that, and
Okay.
then hopefully mix it and master it. And not too sure when we'll do that. It's like just a matter of booking it.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
then I think we're looking at an October release right now.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So not too far in the future there. That's great. I'm sure fans. I know I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, we were hoping that it
Let's.
was going to be earlier. We really wanted it to be actually like a late spring, early summer release, but
Hmm.
things just sort of kept happening, and
Yeah.
we had a huge member, lineup change in the beginning
Right.
of the
Yeah.
year, and so we were sort of like, okay, we need to find ourselves again a little bit here, and
Right.
so, but it's coming for sure.
Well, excellent. It sounds like it's coming well too.
Yeah,
And
oh
I'm
man, it's
glad you're
so
better.
exciting. It's like just so much fun. All of it, it's like Dream Crusher, we're all really emotionally invested in this album because we're sort of like just putting it all out there
Right.
lyrically, and we're playing our best, and we didn't compromise on anything. If there was a song that we were like, no, not right, we started writing all over again from scratch. We
Yeah.
really took our time,
Wow.
so.
Well, that's great.
Mhm.
And you can always tell when a band has a lot invested in an album. It comes out in the music. So,
Mhm.
excellent job. Although I kind of like for you to sing, when you had a cold, hawk and spit. It's good for metal music, I think sometimes.
It's a little difficult to hit those high notes when you got phlegm all over the place.
Yeah. Although it looks very cool. All right, Brittney. This question has kind of a two-pronged attack. What do you love about being in a band, and what could you do without?
Wow, being in a band just in general is awesome. I think the best part is playing live for sure. I mean, the
Hmm?
energy and how much fun it is when you're up there, and it's like the best 40 minutes of the day, um, like forever,
Hmm.
always.
Cool. Very
When you're on tour, it just, I mean, sometimes you're only you get like a 45-minute set, and it just makes that gigantic 8-hour drive and the horrible sleep on the floor of the van or whatever totally
cool.
worthwhile. Like
Right.
absolutely. Um, Definitely doing it for the live show.
Well, very.
Something that I could handle not having to deal with, probably the actual, yeah, I don't know. The drives can be pretty horrendous. If we
Sure.
could
Yeah.
just teleport all of our gear to all of the shows, I think that would be awesome.
Well, that would be awesome. Well. Let me take you to the second part of the question. Maybe I can. You know, what's it like being a female in a lifestyle that's traditionally overrun with men, are you the warrior princess, a dignified emissary of metal, or can you make obscene body noises with the best of them?
Well, that is, maybe I'll leave that for another
Little
time.
TMI. Come on, that makes great interview stuff.
But no, it's definitely, yeah, I mean, my favorite is whenever, we get people that are a little more closed-minded, or
Yeah,
when we're playing with other bands that have female members, and we get the old, yeah, you're great for a girl line, and
uh,
it's just like, oh,
yeah,
really? Come on, I thought we were past this.
yeah,
It doesn't, your sex doesn't matter if you love metal. I always say metal is as metal does. I know that's really stupid, but
yeah.
it's straight out of Forrest Gump. Because it doesn't matter who you are or what you are. Metal, I think, is all uniting. And we all work hard and we all do our best. And so it sometimes, yeah, I mean, there are comments on YouTube and people that get invited to events that are just like, ew, female fronted, gross, not even gonna
Yeah.
listen, kind of stuff, and you just gotta ignore that crap. And the best part is when you show up and they're like, what, there's a chick singer, this is so lame, and then they're like
Yeah.
standing in the back with their arms crossed, like total
Uh-huh.
elitist assholes, and then you just rip their faces off. And they're like, oh, sorry about that, because,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't, I don't know. But
Well, I
that
think
is
you were.
actually, it's starting to wane. I don't see it nearly as much anymore. And I think
Oh, good.
those types that are just a little more closed-minded on the subject are starting to realize that, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, where you come from. You could play wicked metal, and there's also the fact that just don't listen to it if you don't like it, and keep your mouth shut. But that's a little
Okay.
more
Yeah.
difficult with the internet.
Sure. Yeah. Brittany, I'm not sure of the technical term for what I'm about to ask, but you guys, you seem to harmonize with your sound. You have those offset vocals and riffs that add to your style. Do you write for that sound on purpose, or is it a natural flow?
You mean like my vocals, or like combined with the
Well, it's
growls?
kind of a combination. You have sort of a minor offset in your notes, and it makes for a very unique sound. You can call it what you want and compare. You can answer that either way you want, actually.
Well, I think personally, just like as a person, I am
Hmm.
a little bit darker, and I tend to go for definitely darker progressions. And
Uh-huh.
um, I mean, we had this one song where the chorus was so like bright and happy, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, and I said to the boys, both Grant and Andrew, who were together in Archon Legion before, and they had a lot of fun, fast, ripping choruses back in the day, and I was like, I
Uh-huh.
think I need your guys' help on this one, because I just want to sing about darkness and death and destruction, and
Right.
it wouldn't really fit this one. So I do tend to go for a darker sound. But that being said, also the screams I think really help with that
Hmm.
as well. And I don't know if it's maybe the drop D thing, because we play in drop D. It also might.
Right.
Um, I'm not too sure about that side of thing. No, my theory is just horrendous. So
well, whatever it is, it's a great sound. It's a unique sound for you. It's not the same old song, but it's a unique sound that's very identifiable with Unleash the Archers. One of the reasons I'm a big fan of the band. You guys do an excellent job of pulling that off.
thank you.
Um, is there something you haven't done vocally or artistically that you want to do?
I wish I could scream. I
Okay.
actually I did end up writing a lot of the screams on this album just because lyrically I had it was a very focused idea of
Yeah.
what I wanted to say, and so a lot of times it was like, okay, this is what you're gonna scream. And
Right.
I wish, like, the parts, I love them so much, I wish that I could do them. But
Sure.
I mean, I've tried, and I've spoken with so many other screamers, and
Uh-huh.
I've had like little mini lessons after shows and stuff, like just trying to figure it out. And I
Right.
don't know. I guess I've just been singing for too long. I can't get my voice to do it. It's really frustrating. But I guess it's for a reason, right?
Right. Well, you don't want to rip anything because we like the voice that you got right now. So.
No, yeah, that would be horrible.
Okay, now Brittney, metal, I like to say it's reemerged in the past few years. My partner Gomthog hates when I say that, but it's reemerged with so many different genres and styles: death metal, melodic death metal, thrash metal, power metal, operatic and symphonic, black metal, pink and polka dot metal. You name your category.
Mm-hmm.
Is being put in the right category important to you and the guys?
No. I
No. Okay.
honestly, I can't stand those genres, subgenres stuff anymore. I mean, and
Okay.
I know that they're out there and they exist because there are so many different types of metal.
Right.
And so, there's some folks that just are black metal fans through and through, and they won't listen to it if it's something other than black metal. So it's important that these sort of exist so that you understand, okay, yeah,
Right.
they like black metal. That's great, and I know exactly what they listen to. But
Mhm.
I'm the point where people try and just sort of put us in this little genre box is kind of frustrating sometimes because
Right.
it's like, well, so we have a screamer, who cares? And we have a power metal vocalist, who cares? And we like to do, breakdowns, who cares? Let's just play metal. That's what we're here for, and we really love it. And we all have our own sort of writing style, and the music that we all love comes out in our music. And I
Hmm.
don't think there's anything wrong with that. That it's a little bit of a mix of genres. And if you try and put us into one little corner, someone that otherwise
Hmm.
maybe would have listened to us won't. Is it, oh, I don't
Oh,
listen to melodic death metal or
yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean? I don't listen to symphonic metal. I'm not gonna give it a try. So if it's just, it's plain old heavy metal and give it a listen. I mean, everybody loves Maiden, right? I would say they're a really good example
Right.
of just metal. So
Right.
I don't know.
No, that is a great answer. I want to tell Gomthog he has to listen to this. Well, part of our podcast is the debate between he and I. He has to categorize everything, and I categorize nothing. It's
Hmm.
goes by a gut feeling. So you just scored one for me. Thank you very much. All right, Brittney, let's do something called the lightning round. I like to call it. It's just simple one or two word or sentence answers to strange off the wall questions, if you don't mind.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Um, oh well, we'll see. Don't judge it yet.
I'm not very quick thinking right now. I have to
Hey, that's all right. All right. Who's singing do you love?
Bruce and Danzig, I guess.
Bruce and Danzig. Are you a hockey fan? And if so, who's your favorite team?
Not really. I am a bandwagon jumper for sure. When the
Oh,
Canucks are winning, I'll watch a game or two.
okay. Yeah. Hobbies outside of metal.
Reading, video games, and movies.
What do you read?
Sci-fi, fantasy, and I'm just getting into um I guess I don't know if they're called comic books anymore. Graphic novels.
Graphic novels. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever read any Frank Herbert Dune?
Oh yeah, I read the whole thing, and
Oh, I love it.
well, the first six, and then I've got Sisterhood of Dune on my shelf there. I really loved the Bene Gesserit in that whole series,
Oh,
so that's why I'm like, okay, I'll read that one too.
man, you just went up a notch on my respect ladder. I love Frank Herbert. He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's awesome.
All right. Are ghosts real?
No.
How do you get up for a show if you're feeling blah?
This is horrible. I drink like a rock star fruit punch flavor.
Oh my gosh, you had me till you said fruit punch. That's a little less rock and a little more jazz, but
Better
that's
than
okay.
better
That's
than the pink lemonade flavor that they have. That's the
hey,
other
it's
one that I
your
like.
world. We're just living in it. So, all right. If you had very few shout outs left in life, who would you give them to?
Very few shout outs?
Yeah, just hey, love you.
I don't know. Probably all
Okay,
my girls from high school that I grew up with and my grandpa.
very cool. Simple enough. And I could probably answer this for you, but your favorite metal band? You can't say yourself.
Oh God, that would be horrendous. Lost Horizon right now, I suppose.
Brittany, is there anything that you've ever wanted an interviewer to ask you, but they haven't?
I guess some things like the meaning of a song, like why did I write that kind of thing? Like where did that song come from? It seems, to I would love to hear what an interviewer what that song means to them. I think you're singing about this. What did you write
Mhm.
about, kind of thing. And I just say that because one time someone came up to me and said, I love that song Destroyer. It really
Hmm.
helped me and my brother through a really hard time in our lives. And I was like, really? Because that is, it's about Muad'Dib when he when he starts
Oh, cool.
totally just ripping his own world apart and sort of just bringing Dune and everyone to its knees. I was like, and
Yeah.
that helped you through a hard time in life. I was like, that's awesome, totally unexpected, and I just love hearing about um, when my music can is interpreted in a special way for someone, and then because I the way that I write a song could be
Uh-huh.
very different from the way that someone hears it. So
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, Brittany, my next question. So, what does General of the Dark Army mean? Can you explain that song to me a little bit? That's one of my favorites for you guys.
Um, it's a part of the Demons of the Asteroids album is a concept album. It's a big long story about this
Right.
guy who finds a sword on like a long abandoned planet and it takes him over and it's
Oh,
sort of like this super evil sword and it propels him through his life with doing its will, the sword's will.
right.
And when he had found this sword, he had already made a deal with this guy to that he would work for him, that he would take a job. He's kind of like a mercenary.
Right.
And this guy is the general of the Dark Army.
Right.
And so that song is basically just his introduction. This is the guy that our protagonist is about to strike a deal with, and he's a total badass, and he's really not
Right.
the greatest person to, shake hands with and
Right.
sign a contract for. So basically, that
Okay.
song is just talking about this guy, and I really envisioned. I don't know if you've ever seen Willow, but
Oh,
General
yeah.
General Kale from Willow is like
Yeah.
who I was picturing for this guy. Only the thing is that he's like thousands and thousands of years old, and he's really not a human anymore, and he's just sort of
Right.
taken over the universe one solar system at a time.
Well, very DOS-esque, I think. Let me ask you this, Brittany. Have you at any point in your life played Dungeons and Dragons?
No, but a lot of people tell me I should.
You definitely have the mindset for it. I asked because an amazing amount of people that I've interviewed have played Dungeons and Dragons. So, no, that's a very cool. I love the concept and I love the concept album. All right, Brittany, why don't you tell us what's up and coming with Unleash the Archers? Maybe your album you talked about, Whackin' Metal Battle, or anything new or old you want to talk about.
Yeah, we're actually just in the middle of the Vakken Metal Battle, which is a worldwide thing for any
Hmm.
country. They can, as long as a promoter is willing to take it on, they
Uh-huh.
can have this metal battle where you pick one representative to, for your country to
Uh-huh.
fly to Vakken and play in the metal battle there at the festival in Germany.
Excellent.
And so the day before Vakken actually opens, when all the real bands play, is
Uh-huh.
um is when the metal battle happens, and it's on a big stage and its own little tent and everything,
Cool.
and basically any country that participates. I mean, like last year they had Japan and Sweden and France and Brazil, and they all had. I think there was 70 entrants, and then I can't remember if all of the countries actually made it though, because you had to
Yeah.
pay your own way last year.
Oh, wow.
But our buddies Crimson Shadows from Toronto won
Yeah.
for Canada and flew over there and played and actually won the whole thing. And
Awesome.
so they got the whole bunch of deals with, like drumsticks and guitar
Right.
picks and guitars. I think one of them got a deal with Ibanez out of it and all this sort of
Oh.
stuff. And they actually just signed with Napalm because of it. I think it was really great
Oh.
exposure for them. And so
Very cool.
when they started it this year, we were like, yeah, let's give it a try. And so we're in the Vancouver semifinal on May 3rd, and I guess we'll just see what happens from there.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. You guys have already won a round or two, right? Now you're
Yeah, we won the qualifier round.
excellent. Excellent. Well, good luck with that. You guys are very deserving.
Thanks.
Now, uh, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, Brittany. Just smack me when you want to do
No,
that.
it's no problem.
Uh, where can fans get merchandise and music for the band?
Um, Probably if you like digital, the best is Bandcamp.
Hmm.
So I think it's unleashyourarchers.bandcamp.com or something like
Okay.
that. And then
Okay.
if you like physicals, you can get it actually from our webpage, unleashthearchers.com, and those will ship right from my hands to yours. So we don't have too much on there in the way of merch. We got all our albums and everything on there, and we're just sort of waiting to replenish our t-shirt supply right now. We're kind of spending all of our money on studio time, so
Sure.
we don't have any t-shirts up there really, except for one design. But hopefully we'll have that ready to go. We're planning on hitting the road in support of the record in October, so we'll definitely have like slowly be filling the war chest filled with good stuff to buy, patches and all that, hoodies and all that sort of stuff. So
Man, I hope you guys can make it to the States sometime. We really want to catch a show.
we're working
Uh,
on it, trust me. That's
all
actually
right.
we're trying to book that right now, and so any promoters that want to have us come out to their town, they should just give us a shout.
Very cool. Close to here, you should try the Diamond Pub in Louisville, Kentucky. That's a great venue. They have a lot of good bands come through there.
All right, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank Brittney Slaves of Unleash the Archers for being with us tonight. And thank you, Brittney.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. I want to thank our listeners for listening. I want to encourage you to keep listening because on our next session, Gomthog and I will very likely debate, argue, and may even fist fight about any and all things metal. Till then, let's just keep banging it out.